Today is a big day for 49-year-old Marshall and his wife, Amy. I mention his age because Marshall does not have any biological children, but that may change if a DNA test proves that this young woman named Leisha is his daughter. This is how it all started. Take a look.
3 weeks ago, your producer called me on the telephone and asked was I the one that wanted a DNA test. When she wrote me the email, I knew it just had to be my mother, Marilyn. My mother passed like 3 months ago. She always had her doubts about Leisha being mine, but I never did. I met Leisha in church when she was 13. It's been really good ever since. We've got a killer relationship. I don't get to see her as often as I'd like to, but we talk all the time.
Despite Marilyn's doubts of Marshall being Leisha's dad, Marshall is the greatest dad to her and my son.
I just want her to know that I'm her dad. She's my daughter.
Wow, beautiful story. Listen, thank you so much for being here, both of you. I really appreciate it. So Marshall, you did not write to our show.
No, sir. It had to be my mother, and she had doubts. She felt like she was protecting me, and she said, hey, if I'm gonna be a grandmother, I want to know that I am.
She was the one that had, the doubts, and wanted to know for sure, yes, and wanted him to know for sure or not.
So Marshall, tell me about Leisha's mother, Patricia.
I mean, we were really young. She was a neighbor, lived at the end of the street. I moved into town, and
she was older than you by like 3 years.
We played house. We skipped school. We done what kids do, and it led into adult things. And Patricia got pregnant, and it was just a surprise. I mean, wow, it was overwhelming.
Yeah. So it's not as if you didn't know. You were around back then, but somehow, even though you had a sexual relationship with Leisha's mother, your mother still had doubts.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
There was rumors that went around the neighborhood that.
And that got to your mother basically and gave her doubts.
Yes. Yes.
Amy, when did you first find out about this DNA mystery?
Well, I first found out about Patricia when we first married. I guess we'd been married 2 or 3 years. We lived with my cousin and her husband. We both, us two couples rented a cabin, and we'd had a little problem with him cheating on me, and he quit, and we were going to work it out. Well, the phone starts ringing while we lived there, and several times I pick it up. Well, somebody'd hang up, and one day I walked in, and he was on the phone. He hung it up real quick. Or, I thought I wouldn't see him, and I started thinking, that he was cheating on me again. And we got into it, and he was like, no, that's not it. I've been talking to Patricia, and he was just wanting to see his daughter. That's what it was.
Got it.
And, yes.
So your mom moved you away when she found out about the pregnancy?
She did. She moved me to Tennessee. I lived with my grandmother. It was just to keep me away. And like I said, I'm going with, in my mind, I'd like to think, in her mind, that she was trying to protect me from something. She just felt like at such a young age, I wouldn't make a good father, maybe. I don't know if that was it, or it didn't need to be, or if it would destroy me. I'm not really sure what she thought.
So Marshall, when did you first meet Leisha?
We were at church, and they were having an outreach program, and knock on the door, introduce myself. First place I go, and it ends up being Patricia.
Wow.
Leisha's mother.
Wow.
It's like God led right to her, and.
Wow. Because you had no idea, so you think you're just about to go do some missionary work.
That was the first house he had went to. There they were.
And it was like after that, Leisha started coming to church, and we started talking and introducing us, and started finding out we had so many things, like for nobody to not even be around each other, we got so much in common.
And Marshall, you don't have any biological children of your own.
I don't.
So why is this important to you, for you, this test?
Well, I just feel like, after Leisha being alive 34 years, I met her at 13 and we started bonding, that we just like to know, hey, that's my daughter.
Were you close to your father?
When I was 3 years old, they separated. And it was until I turned 21, I got my CDLs, Class A CDLs, started driving a truck. And Amy and I went out on a load together, and the truck broke down. Of all places, it was in Clarksville, Tennessee. And I remembered, hey, my dad lives in Clarksville, Tennessee. So that's 18 years I haven't even spoke to this man. He hadn't called me, I'm gonna call my dad. And Amy started pushing it, you should meet your dad, you should meet your dad. And so there it went, and I met my dad that day, got to meet his wife.
Look how divine your life is working out. It's a little,
That's not all.
yeah, that's amazing. So it's been 5 years since you've seen Leisha, right?
Unfortunately, it has.
And why is that?
Circumstances, money, moving. Thank goodness for, the phone and internet. We're able to stay in touch.
Well, listen, before we reunite them, listen to how this DNA mystery has affected Leisha over the years.
My mama, Patricia, she was my best friend until she passed away in 2015. When she had me, she was only 16 years old, but she gave me the best life that she could. In my early life, I thought my adopted dad was my biological father. My mom and him were together my whole life. They started dating when I was only 6 months old. When I was 13, my mama finally told me the truth. She brought me to church one day and introduced Marshall as my real dad. Marshall's been in and out of my life since I was a teenager. I don't know much of the backstory, but I know that Marshall's mother never believed that I was his true daughter. I always called her Marilyn. She never let me call her Grandma. Marshall is a really nice man, but I haven't seen him in 5 years. My mama isn't here anymore to give me the answers I truly need. If Marshall isn't my real father, I will be dead this day.
Family, please help me welcome Leisha and her husband, John, to the show. Come on out, Leisha and John.
I love you.
How are you?
You do too. Good to see you.
Y'all are good.
Y'all do too.
Leisha, thank you for coming. John, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So, Leisha, who did you believe was your father when you were a little girl?
My adoptive dad. For the longest time, it was all him.
Yeah.
And it was a running joke in our family between the siblings, because I have 2 younger brothers, that my youngest brother was actually brought in through FedEx. He was the adopted one.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, my adopted dad.
And when did your mother tell you about Marshall?
Well, she sat me down one day, the whole family pretty much did, and told me that I was adopted. I thought it was a running joke.
Yeah.
And, but no, they sat me down and we started talking about how I would have felt if I was adopted. I'm like, oh, I'm not adopted, it's cool. And they're like, no, Leisha, you really are adopted.
Yeah.
And my mom was sitting there and I was like, well, who is he? And she was like, his name's Marshall. And I was like, okay, cool. I was 13, young. I didn't really think about it too much at the time. It wasn't until a little bit later, and I was like, I might want to see. So.
And what age is that you were at the church and you popped up on the doorstep? Was that when she was about 13?
I was roughly 13, 14.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't long after.
Yeah, so it was like kind of short, like she shared with you that you were adopted by this man who was raising you, and then he shows up. Marilyn, your grandmother, in essence, had doubts about you.
Yes, she came out and told me, she's like, I don't think you're his.
And how old were you when she said that to you?
The first time, I was about 15. Shortly after that, I was older. And by then, I had gotten resentment. You're supposed to be my grandmother. And I said grandma one time. She's like, I'm Marilyn.
Oh.
So, and I was like, all right, you're Marilyn.
Did your mother ever say there could have been another guy? Was it always just Marshall?
She's like, I've already told you this, it's Marshall, and she wouldn't go any further about it.
That was it.
She's like, if you want to know more, talk to Marshall.
Who would like to open these results and read the outcome? You would? All right. If you can read it out loud for us.
Like I said, you'll always be my baby girl. Leisha is not your daughter.
I'm very sorry.
You're my baby girl. I love you. I love you. I love you. You're my daughter.
That don't change nothing. That don't change nothing.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Yeah. There you go. I'm so sorry. What is going through your mind right now?
I guess, you know, she was right. What now?
Yeah. Marshall, what's going on through your mind?
I want to be more of a father than I ever have and support this girl. The day I got a call from the producer, and I said, you know, I had to call my daughter. We both agreed that day, you know, if for some reason it's not our fault. I mean, there's nothing we can do to change that, but I love you. I love you regardless.
Thank you.
Amy, what are you thinking about? Is this hitting you hard too?
I'm so sorry. I thought you weren't. I know he really did. I know you did too. And I'm just worried. I'm really worried about you guys.
21 years.
I'm so sorry.
Ups and downs and fighting about it and hurt feelings that
I can't believe it.
now I almost feel like guilty about it because she was right. Mad about someone I can't be mad at.
Yeah.
She could have told me, the possibility, but it was never a possibility. It was 100% sure.
You're talking about your mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, she passed away in 2015. And everybody that would even remotely know who she could potentially is gone. And my kids have built a relationship with him. If I say, Grandpa's on the phone, they get excited about it. Yeah. And, they take my phone and run through the house. Yeah. When are we going to go take a vacation and go see Grandpa? And,
Still do that.
I know. It's 21 years of a relationship, It's not something that I, would throw away or regret. I mean, we got memories. But at the same time, for me and my family, it's like, then who? Who is it? And it's
Marshall, I know this may be a hard question for me to ask you, but you were around back then. Is there anyone else that you saw her mother dating that you could possibly say, I saw her dating, maybe, to give answers?
It was so long ago, I wouldn't know. I mean, no. No, I really don't. I'm sorry. I mean, maybe we could do some research together. Maybe I could get a yearbook and look. I could give you an idea. I don't know. I'll do whatever.
I mean, the beauty of this is that you do have someone here who was around then, who can try to. The fact that he even offered to give you yearbooks, and there's a lot of grieving and a lot of heartache that's going to go on here. There's a lot of. You're going to have to process this information. It's going to take you some time. The beauty of it is that you do have a husband who loves you. You have
very supportive.
Yeah, Marshall and Amy are here. They do love you as well. You have people around you that want to be there for you, which is the good part. You're not alone. And I understand this is going to take you a wave of emotions. You're going to go up and down. You're going to be angry. You're going to be resentful. You're going to be confused. But at the end of the day, if you can always remember that you are surrounded by love, and your kids are surrounded by love, and that you have love around you, it will make that healing a little bit easier. And I know it's a lot easier said than done. Yeah. So I don't want you to think that I'm going to minimize your pain and what you're going to go through, but it helps to know sometimes, like, okay, even though I got this news, there's still love around me. And maybe he can give you some answers going through yearbooks and can support you. And whatever we can do to support you here at the show, we'll do it for you as well.
I definitely appreciate it.
Yeah.
Definitely
Take your time to process, though, and grieve. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry for y'all. Hold on. Where are you going? I'll tell you where you're going. Right here to subscribe, and right here to watch more. Period.